we all have ended up in CX and customer success and customer facing roles. So my journey started as an engineering person. I did my undergrad in aerospace engineering, then did a master's in computer science, and I started in the networking industry, which is where I'm back at HP and then Cisco early on, building and designing networks. And then I ended up going into the B2C world, which I really enjoyed. I spent 10 years at Google, some of which were spent in YouTube, working for Susan Wojcicki. For those of you in the Bay Area might know her. And then I moved to a couple of startups where I got exposed to product management. And I spent, I would say, the last 2 decades doing product management. But as I was migrating from Google into back to the B2B world of Juniper Networks, and I was building software products, I realized very quickly that, and this is about 10 years ago, when hardware companies were not necessarily doing customer success. So those of you who know the history of customer success, it started with Salesforce realizing that attrition and the loss of customers can only be stopped if there is a customer success motion to make the products very sticky and get value out of the products through an organization that was branded as customer success. However, hardware companies, like if you take NVIDIA's and Cisco's and Juniper's, they don't traditionally have customer success because you have a set of hardware devices that you give your customers, you give a bunch of training, and you give them, make them certified in your world of infrastructure, and then you have a go, or these leads have a go at figuring things out for themselves. But the world has started moving towards software. So when I was at Juniper, it became very clear to me that if I wanted my software products to be successful, I had to learn from the likes of Salesforce and software companies to stand customer success. And then that grew into becoming customer experience at Juniper. And then I've continued down that path of thinking through and figuring out how we can build products that are more customer centric, where customer success is an absolutely amazing aspect or corollary to that, but is not how we should think when we build products. We should build products that are easy to onboard, adopt, and consume and get value out of. So with that, when I started looking at beyond what to do at Juniper, I did a short stint at a startup called Nile. But when I came to Cisco, this has been exactly what I'm focused on, is to say that throughout the life cycle of the customer, how can we improve the way we engage with them, the way we give them customer success, customer support, as well as professional services. So this is what I do. Sorry, I was setting up the stage because a lot of things I talk about, I'll draw on each of these experiences. And along with my full-time job, I also teach at UCLA. I'm an adjunct professor in their business school teaching product management. So let's get into AI. So AI is not new for anybody who has spent time, and I think Jennifer was calling out how she's seeing the amazing, flux of everything that's happening in the AI world today. It has been dormant for a long time. It's in the 50s that Alan Turing came up with the Turing test to say if a human is engaging with the interface and they cannot figure out if it's a human or a machine on the other end of that conversation, then you have passed the Turing test. So this concept was created in the 50s that it's possible for a machine to mimic a human, right? That's the genesis of AI. Now, in companies like B2C companies like Netflix, YouTube, Google, we have been doing recommendation engines and machine learning models for a long time, more than a decade. But it was only after ChatGPT in November of 2022 came and said, now you can have a generative conversation. It's not a predetermined way of engaging with the customer, but a very natural language way where a machine can understand your prompt and respond to it in a very natural, generative way where it's not, predetermined answer. And with that, we have seen amazing improvements in how every company has built chatbots and virtual assistants. It used to be all there, but it was very stagnant, very static. Now we see amazing improvements, and the jury is still out whether chatbots today would meet the Turing test or not, but it's pretty close, and it's getting much closer every day. Now, in 2025, we have also seen that now we are moving from chatbots that's a single-threaded conversation to agents that can take the whole workflow and take your prompt and actually go and do 2, 3 day long workflows, including research, including writing papers, including creating marketing campaigns end to end. A lot of that is done today through agents, right? And that is what at Cisco we have been trying to see how we can take some of these agentic platforms and create ways for our customers to engage with us in a more meaningful way, where agents can actually understand a customer's environment and suggest preemptive actions to manage their infrastructure better. So that is the premise of my conversation today. If I look at infrastructure, this is where my background is typically, but this would be applicable to all of you in whatever field and realm you are, whether it's biomed or it's retail or it's any other kind of vertical that you're in, that you would see that AI workloads in your world and your life are increasing. So, of course, as AI becomes ubiquitous, your leadership will tell you that now you can create efficiency, and it's very interesting. It's a bit of a catch 22 because you are making investments in AI and you're asking your teams to lower the investment in humans, to say that now I have AI capabilities, so we don't need as many engineers because you can do, you can vibe code, you can do co-pilots, etc., to improve your efficiency. And so you should be able to invest the cost or invest in AI to decrease your workforce. However, it is not, it is super expensive to have these AI models running inside your environment. And there's a token efficiency that you would hear about. How do we manage the number of tokens per engineer? So nowadays you will start seeing there's a token economy that CFOs will start implementing, where they will say every engineer has a certain set of tokens they get a day, because otherwise the cost per engineer of that AI utilization will be so high that everything that you have saved in humans will be thrown out the window. So you have to balance, as a leader in your company, you have to see what are the AI advantages you're bringing while trying to manage the cost pressures. And everything has to be done much faster than before, because hey, what AI is here, so you should be able to deliver all the results faster. So in our world, in networking, the way we look at it is, if I'm thinking of support, professional services, customer success, and renewals, which is the four big pillars in our CX organization, customers want more out of us. And they also claim that this is much more important than it was before, because your environment is more complex. Your AI workloads, how they're utilizing your infrastructure, has become more complex. It's not just about uptime. So I'll give you an example of data centers. In the past, when we used to deploy any data centers comprise of three things. And I apologize if I go too long. Please let me know, because when I get in the flow, I forget time. So data centers have, like, you have networking, your routers and switches, which are the mesh that carries your data packets. You have storage and you have compute. These three are the big things. Now, in the past, the only thing infrastructure providers worried about is uptime. As long as my network is up, my devices are up and running, my work is done, I can and walk away. Nowadays, with AI workloads, if you lose a few packets, it is going to restart that whole workload. So any outage gets much more expensive and much more impactful in a negative way than it used to be before. So services and support and all that have become much more important, right? Much more, how should I say? Sorry, I cannot move this. Yeah, have become much more, the demand is much more, right? However, you will also see this problem that if you have read the book Crossing the Chasm, there is a chasm between all these pilots that companies are doing and then really taking these products into production. And I don't know how many of you can raise your hands and say that we have done so many pilots, but are we seeing a true impact in production? And the answer will be no. And the reason is that the true cost of these platforms and tools, which every week I hear about some new tool, some new capability. But is it built in a way that it can be efficient, truly show you savings? Or do we even know the way to measure the savings? These are all the challenges that we are facing in enterprise in how to convert a pilot to a reality. So in our world at Cisco, one of the other things we are trying to do is to say that can I look at a repositioning, like instead of saying that I'll just do pilots or give my customers ways to do a little bit of initiative to improve automation, is can I truly fundamentally change the way that I'm doing support and services? And that's where we are trying to drive here. So I'll give you a little glimpse of everything that we are trying to do, and then if there is interest, we can go deeper after we do during the deep dive or the conversations. But we have to truly reimagine how we are doing support and services. We cannot just create a cover of AI to say that, this is how I was doing it. And I've seen tools, especially in customer success, it's been very hard because the way, if you look at a Gainsight or a Totango, it's very ingrained in how they've built the product. And now if you try to build an AI layer on top of that, it does not resonate. So you will see a lot of new products coming up that are built AI natively, where you start your thinking very much with that I have to build an AI platform and AI capability. And here I'm just showing some stats that, there is research that shows that if you have true ability to build an AI platform, you can reduce your outages, you can deflect your cases, so you will truly see a reduction in your trouble tickets that come in. You will see reduction in compliance challenges because an AI platform can proactively tell you about all of that. And I will talk about the platform we have built, proactively tell you and help you remediate before these issues occur. So the game changes from saying that when an issue happens, how do I react? Or if I see that my customers are going from amber to green in the health score, how do I react? To going very into a preemptive approach to say that can I predict something and preempt it from even going from a green to amber? That's the mindset we have to move to. So if I just look at the world of support, and this is coming from an infrastructure point of view, but you all can hopefully relate to whatever worlds you're in, to say that if there is a journey of support begins with an incident that happens, and then we quickly start thinking about how quickly can I remediate and get my customer, whether it's in success or infrastructure outage or any other issue that a customer is facing, let's remediate as soon as possible. And my KPI is about that time to resolve, get to the root cause, etc. But what we want to do is change that mind shift completely to say, how can I become predictive and proactive? So if I am able to proactively understand that a certain set of incidents could lead to an outage, can I prevent it from happening? That is the mindset. So to achieve that, you actually have to build your platform with that mindset. You start with the AI in mind and you start with data set, because anything that you build, anybody who has played with AI knows that it's garbage in, garbage out. If you do not have clear, good, clean data, then you cannot truly build a good machine learning model and an AI model on top of that. So, which is why I'm saying that you have to start building a product or a platform or any solution, whether it's in customer success or support, with that in mind. So your data is foundational. And from there, you can start layering intelligence on top of that, whether it's documents that you have or any other IP that exists in your industry. You layer it on top of that data, which is like more like prompt engineering. Now you're giving that, or you're augmenting that data with intelligence that has been built in your environment, in your vertical. And then you create some sort of guardrails. Principled AI in networking industry means what are the IPs I know about outages, about known security advisories, about guardrails created by agencies that say, whether it's GDPR or other guidelines that are published by authorities. And then you get to that interface, which will be able to engage with the customer in a very generative way, not in a stagnant and dashboard of the yesteryears. So, with that in mind, we launched something called Cisco IQ. I have been working on this product ever since I landed at Cisco about 9 months ago, and we just went GA last week. So, timing is perfect. If you want to learn more about this platform to see how you can utilize some of this thinking in your world, I'd be happy to share more. But the idea is the same. We take all the customer, when we say data, all of you have customer data. We have an understanding of what our customers have purchased, what is their environment like. Now I take the intelligence layer of documents, of guidelines, guardrails, utilization, how these products should be used that we have created. We layer all of that and then we build the interface that can give the observability, the visibility, and the proactiveness to your customers, right? So let's say I took all this data that I'm showing on the left and I build this interface. Now, what I have built here are basically four pillars. And again, you can utilize it in your industry. But the first thing we wanted is to have a complete landscape clarity of every piece of asset that is in the customer environment. Now, it seems very simplistic, but this is one of the hardest problems to solve. And any large company, any of you that are in large environments know that, for example, I have customers that have 120,000 plus devices. For them to truly be able to see where the risk is, where the issues are, would be very hard without having a full visibility. So you take all this data and then you build knowledge about, let's say in Cisco's environment, I have knowledge about each hardware. What are the security vulnerabilities? What are the guidelines, the golden templates of configurations? All of that knowledge that I get from my business units, I build that on top of that platform. And now I can give insights to my customers on what they should be doing, what they should be remediating, how, if a license is expiring, what should they be doing? So anything and everything I can do to avoid an outage from happening. That's the world. And then if in the third pillar, if something does happen, then how do I automate the resolution, again, based in AI? Okay, I'm going to try and cover very fast.
And we've 2 minutes left, just so you know.
Okay, perfect. So this is just showing like how then based on that you create agents that can engage with the customer to create knowledge agents that are constantly refreshing that data because knowledge is being produced by each of the business unit that is producing hardware and software. And I also update my diagnostic agents. So these are all the agents that are doing the workflow, engaging with the customer and the partners on a regular basis, giving them the insights. And I think my last slide, I'm just gonna say that today we are here. And the interesting thing about the AI landscape that every week I could be saying this today and tomorrow something else might come up and agents might become yesterday's thing and something else. But based on what we know today, this is what we are trying to do, that agents that do the workflows today that support. And then in the future, we today everything is with human in the loop, but we do want to get to an automated autonomous world where networks, just like self-driving cars, we can have self-driving networks. And this is again, this concept came out in 2000, but after 26 years of technology, we're at a place where we can have self-driving networks. So with that, I'm going to end this presentation and open up for questions or conversation.